Well, hi there and welcome to the basement. It's kind of a cloudy, maybe drizzly day outside here in Minnesota, kind of transitioning from winter to spring. Got me thinking about riding in the rain. And this is a video I've wanted to do for a while, just kind of share our experience and things we've learned and have made riding in the rain more comfortable. There was a time many years back that we would never even think of riding in the rain. And then you start doing bike tours in Europe and around the United States, and you have a choice. You can either just ride in the rain and ride, or you can stay in your hotel room. So we started riding and then figured out some ways to make it less painful. Actually, once you figure out how to do it, it's not all that bad. So I'm going to start from the head down to the feet and a few other things. But the one thing we really liked, we got these when we were in Provence, our trip to Provence, France, with VBT, Vermont Bicycle Tours. These little helmet covers. Got them off Amazon, got a 2-pack. One was lime green and one was pink for Julie. And they worked out well because we ended up having a couple days of riding in the rain. They're real easy. You just slip them on your helmet and tighten them up. And I like them because your ears are clear so that you can hear the cars around you, and it keeps the rain from coming down through and on your head. If you had a hat underneath, that would still get wet. So I like these as a nice compromise. Yes, you can take your rain shell thing and put it over the helmet or under it, but I don't like that because it kind of blocks your hearing. And I like these, and it kind of keeps it open when it's warm, so you get a little more ventilation so you're not so hot. And I found in the wintertime, it's actually kind of nice to have this on, and you can ride, and it keeps you a bit warmer because you don't have that cold air coming in to your head. So the helmet covers for us is a must. They were like about $10 US, so they're pretty cheap, and we've had them now for, 8-9 years. So they've held up. And the nice thing is you can also use them as a seat cover. When you're done riding and it's still raining, just put them over your seat, cinch them up, and they work as a seat cover. Well, moving down from the head down to the torso, you need a good jacket. And I'm not sponsored by Eddie Bauer. None of the stuff I'm showing you is sponsored, just stuff that we figured out over the years. I love Eddie Bauer Active Gear, the Adventure Series. I got this jacket. I used to have a Cabela's rain shell that worked really well. It was completely waterproof, but you couldn't get it in a bright color. And when I'm bicycling, I like to be seen. So I was able to get this yellow one off of Eddie Bauer. It's a little thicker than I would like, but it's nice when it's a cold rain. And I always like to buy them an extra large, a size bigger. That way I can wear a small backpack under it and I can keep my camera dry and still zip things up. Usually when I ride in the rain, I have the shell on, but I usually like to keep it open. This shell has a nice feature, kind of nice, and it's kind of a pain, but it has little Velcro straps that you can kind of just do like that. So it just Velcros up. So you can keep it somewhat open so you get ventilation. I get really warm, and it's one of those battles. You're going to get wet from the rain, or you're going to get wet from all the sweat. So I like this shell. It is completely waterproof. I've ridden in hours and hours of hard rain. When I was in Montana doing part of the Great Divide, we rode for 6 hours in a very, very hard rain, and it was a cold rain. So this was a nice jacket to have. Did not have any leaks on the seams at all. I never had any leaks on the Cabela ones either. Julie now has something similar from Eddie Bauer. It keeps her dry. It's a little tighter than she likes. She used to have a Columbia one, but I remember that leaked through the seams a bit, but it was a little bit roomier. We had a couple days of rain on the Katy Trail, and she had some leakage in the seams on that jacket. Anyway, a good rain shell is critical, and I like bright colors. I love the Eddie Bauer stuff, but I'm sure REI and North Face and others have wonderful jackets too. Well, keeping your hands dry and warm. I've kind of messed around with a bunch of stuff, and our last trip to the Netherlands, I decided, well, I'm going to get these things, and I got these at a local home improvement store here called Menards. Home Depot maybe has them also, but they were like $5 for the pair, and they're completely waterproof, and they work great. And I get them big so they go over my bike gloves easily, so I still have the padding and some of the warmth of the bike glove. But boy, we were bicycling in the high 40-degree, low 50s with a lot of wind in the Netherlands, and my hands were nice and toasty, warm and dry in these. So a nice, inexpensive alternative that is working really well. Just a completely waterproof gardening glove. So going down below the waist and the legs, we just use a rain pants, or sort of mountain pants. And these are from Gander Mountain, kind of a similar thing to Cabela's, I guess, but it's their Guide series. Completely waterproof. They work great. Julie uses them all the time in the rain. I tend to not use them all that much because they're too hot. But in the Great Divide that I was talking about earlier, when it was in the mid 40s or lower and a hard rain, it was really cold, and having these on all day was great. And I stayed nice and dry and kept me warmer. I wasn't totally warm, but I was warmer. So I mentioned that I don't really like to ride in the rain shell pants if I don't have to. They get me really overheated. So I tend to use, of course, surprise, surprise, Eddie Bauer pants. And they're the First Ascent pants. These are the short versions. I use shorts or I use long pants depending on the weather. But they tend to be pretty waterproof. And the nice thing is that once it's done raining, they dry off very, very quickly. But they still keep you fairly warm in the rain. If it's a warm rain, then obviously shorts is just fine. But I find that these are a good compromise between having a full shell type pants on versus just regular pants. And with the shorts, if I'm riding and it's going to be maybe cold and get warmer, I might go with these Pearl Izumi leg things that I have. They kind of go up to your middle of your thigh. They have nice elastic, and they tend to be pretty waterproof, so you can slide them on and off underneath your shorts. Now, they work great, but they look a little geeky. Julie doesn't really like them all that much, but I enjoy them because they just, you can roll them up and stick them in your bike bag. And when you need them, you can throw them on when it starts raining. It gets colder, gets warmer. You can take them off and put them back in the bike bag. So I find that's a nice compromise on those days where you're going to be going from rain to maybe sun and back, wind, whatever. So you have a choice. Probably the worst thing about riding in the rain is wearing shoes. And you get to where you are and the shoes are just soaked. I don't care if they're waterproof shoes or whatever. Eventually the water leaks down between the socks and the shoes and just gets really, really soaked in there. And it's hard to dry them out overnight. So we, on the Katy Trail, started trying out using sandals, sort of a sports sandal. These are actually a Skechers one. They're not terribly expensive. I like them because they have a really thick sole, which makes them nice for bicycling. And then you can either wear them without any socks on warm days, or you could put maybe a pair of wool socks inside there. And I did that for a while, and that worked pretty well. The day we were riding in the middle to low 40 degrees in continuous rain on the Great Divide section of Montana, my feet were freezing because it couldn't keep me insulated and warm. Even though they are wool, you still get cold water on them. So when we headed to the Netherlands, you know that the Netherlands has a lot of rain and wind and nasty weather. We took our sandals with us because we love it. The fact that you can ride all day in the rain with these. You get to your hotel, and the next morning they're completely dry and ready to go. And your shoes that are in your waterproof Pannier are just all dry and ready to go out to dinner with. So anyway, when we decided to do the Netherlands, I decided it was going to be October. We needed something to keep us warm. And I thought, well, I'd been thinking maybe just get some thin neoprene diving socks. And you can just slip these over. I wear lightweight socks and just put them in there, kind of ankle-high socks. And they go in here, and then you can just cinch them up and tighten them up. And it's completely waterproof. We rode for a day of pretty hard rain in the Netherlands, and our feet stayed completely dry and warm. and they work really nicely. They just slip right into the sandal like so, and you can just ride. And I think this is, if you're looking to keep your feet warm and dry and then be able to have your shoes be dry and dry off your shoes, go with sandals and go with these neoprene diving socks. At least give them a try. I mean, these are like $10 on Amazon, so you can't really lose. If you have some sports sandals already, I'd give them a try. This was a game changer for us in the Netherlands. It was just wonderful to have nice warm feet all day long in rain that was in the upper 40 degrees. Well, not necessarily about the body, but most bike bags I find are not really waterproof. They might say they are, but the ones we buy, anyway, we're not buying super expensive ones. So I just get these little covers, again off Amazon, and you can just slip them over the bike bag quickly on your bike, and then I just lift it up so that the flasher is still visible in the back. And then the nice thing is you got a bright color in the rain. It covers your bag up, keeps the rain from going into the bag. And again, something that's maybe $10, $15 US really helps out in keeping things dry. So as you can tell, we've kind of fiddled around with some things and found some pretty good low-cost alternatives to keeping nice and dry. None of our gear is Gore-Tex. We tend to maybe try to be a little bit on the less expensive side. You can find the jackets and stuff on Eddie Bauer for, maybe $60, $70 on sale. The rain pants, well, I don't even know. I haven't looked for so long. We've had those for over 20 years, so I think we probably paid about $30. I don't know what they cost now. But, you can go to a Cabela's or maybe even Eddie Bauer, sort of a guide series type pants on those for the rain pants. The Eddie Bauer First Ascent pants are kind of pricey, but you can usually get them on sale if you look for about $50 or $60. I think they're well worth the money. And then the shorts, you can usually get those, especially if you like some different colors that are on clearance for down in the $30 range. So you can do it for fairly inexpensive. Obviously, the diving socks and things like that are pretty inexpensive too. So you can ride comfortably in the rain for not a lot of money and really enjoy your riding. Sometimes it's really pleasant to be out there in the rain and you're the only one riding. It's kind of peaceful, and then you get to see things that maybe you wouldn't see on a nice, bright, sunny day. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hope that maybe you've learned something and that you'll go out and start riding in the rain when you have to. It's not the death sentence that we used to think it was, and so we can continue riding and enjoy our trips and keep our tours going. Anyway, we'll see you on our next adventure. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching our video. Like it if you liked it. Please comment below and subscribe so you can stay current with our adventures.